Dying night, the shadow of the bleeding night. The sword is losing its light, there's nowhere to hide. It's time to face the dark and fight them back. The moon is turning into evil red, burns the desert into ash, ruin the ark with chaos fire, yeah. Survivors won't pray for luck, belief could be hard as rocks, go against the deepest dark. The sadness calling you above the sky. This war will end with the bravest man. Santa Marie grew for the fight, now we've come back. I'm wondering who I am, run through the fire, chase the boredom, needing of the endless fighting. Who I am, the hands of flame, would I be a hero, would I see my neverland? I'll fight for the dreams that you had, believe in your friends, get ready for the world's fight. You know who I am, let's fight on time, illuminate and lead the sky till the dawn, back to life. Dying night, the shadow of the lonely night. The sword is losing its light, there's nowhere to hide. It's time to face the dark and fight them back. The sand is turning into evil black, burns the desert into ash, ruin the ark with chaos fire, yeah. Survivors won't pray for luck, belief could be hard as rocks, go against the deepest dark. The sadness calling you above the sky. This war will end with the bravest man. Santa Marie grew for the fight, now we've come back. I'm wondering who I am, run through the fire, chase the boredom, needing of the endless fighting. Who I am, the hands of flame, would I be a hero, would I see my neverland? I'll fight for the dreams that you had, believe in your friends, get ready for the world's fight. You know who I am, it's right on time, illuminate the bleeding sky till the dawn, back to life. I've seen my people down with sword in their hands, still standing their ground. No time for sadness, holding my faith, just keep on moving on. Fires and fires are falling everywhere, crying in the air, shouting out a glorious name. The name of the Savior in history till forever. Your faith is leading your way to the light. We know the real fighters never die. Send on fight them one more time, now we've come back. You're gonna know who I am, run through the fire, finding out the meaning of the ruthless fighting. Here I am, the hands of flame, I will be the hero and rebuild my home, my land. I'll fight for the dreams that you had, believe in your friends, get ready for the world's fight. You know who I am, it's right on time, illuminate and lead the sky till the dawn, back to life. Dying night, the shadow of the bleeding night. The sword is losing its light, there's nowhere to hide. It's time to face the dark and fight them back. The moon is turning into evil red, burns the desert into ash, ruin the ark with chaos fire, yeah. Survivors won't pray for luck, belief could be hard as rocks, go against the deepest dark. The sadness calling you above the sky. This war will end with the bravest man. Santa Marie grew for the fight, now we've come back. I'm wondering who I am.
Hello, my friends, and welcome back. I'm Chiscool Gaming here with Dragothian. He's not with us on video, but here on voice to cover the Osiris League Grand Finals. Final match. This was the best 2 out of 3, and it's one win for each team. Drago, how you doing, man? You hyped for this?
Oh, I couldn't be more hyped. I'm so hyped that I am actually on family vacation, but taking my hour together to cast this amazing match that we're likely to see coming up in just a few short minutes. 1V versus 60 GT. 1V coming from Kingdom 34, 60 GT coming from 960. These two teams have battled it out these last 2 weeks. I couldn't, in good conscience, miss this third match coming up, Chisco.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be pretty hype. Not going to lie. I mean, what more could you ask from a grand final series? In the first round, the team that was not favorited by the people with their Oryx to win ended up winning. And then the opposing team comes back and wins next week. So we've got a tied up series here. And honestly, it's hard to say who's going to win. We could guess. You could say, oh, well, 60 GT won last week. They'll win this week. Maybe. I don't know what's going to happen here. Everyone has access to the entire suite of commanders. I even have a theory. That the developers have been waiting to release, the new Flavius and Scipio so as to not interfere with these grand finals having the same sort of set of commanders as we saw for the majority of this season of Ark of Osiris League. So all that to say, I'm hyped for this, man. I think it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm right there in your back pocket with you, man. I cannot believe that we got to this third match. After seeing that first match by 1V absolutely dominating 60 GT, I was like, this is going to be 2 weeks. This is going to be 2 weeks. 1V was so dominant against 60 GT, and 60 GT came back that next week and was like, hey, I can do that too.
Yeah.
And went ahead and did just that and dominated 1V last week. And like you said, this week, this is a toss-up. People who put their coins on, there's no possible way anybody had any kind of this is definitely going to happen. My coins are coming back to me 100%. This is truly a 50-50 proposition. If you put coins on the betting this week, good luck to you, because it really is a toss of the coin to see who's going to win those coins coming back. I can't wait to see and cast this match with you. It's going to be one that's probably going to be talked about for quite some time. Again, remember, guys, there are no technology buffs. There are no extra buffs whatsoever. Everything is even. VIP 18, out the door. It's completely even. So this is truly, if you want to think about it, it's almost Canyon-style matchups inside of the grand finals. It's completely nullifying every extra benefit you could possibly have.
Even equipment. No equipment
it's gone.
On anything.
Poof.
Which does change the calculus. In fact, last week we hypothesized, Dragothian, that teams were doing less provisioning than they might normally do, in part because you don't have all that gathering equipment, which really ups the points. So everything else is worth the same amount of points, and the speed with which you could get provisioning points has only gone down. See what I mean? So yeah, I think that faded slightly out of meta. Not that you should stop provisioning, but I think tactics that we're seeing more of in grand finals than we saw in League include pulling provisioners to do whatever it is you need to do, which for the most part is actually getting to the Ark and capping that thing for that big fight, right?
You got it. Yep. The middle is where it's at. Both these teams have shown that, by the way. First match won by 1V, dominating the middle. Second match won by 60 GT, dominating the middle. I mean, the structure game's there. Don't get me wrong. There's some solid structure points to be had, but 2,000 to 4,000 points is not what's going to win this match. As you can see over the past 2 weeks, it's been basically a 10,000 point game for the most part. That means that they're going to have to win it by capturing arcs. Those are the big chunks of points that are going to get this thing done. I think this is probably one of the best grand finals matchups we've ever had. Would you agree?
The best we've ever had?
Yeah,
I mean, let's see how close it is, man.
Let's label it. I'm about labels today.
Honestly, there were moments in the last match where things really could have flipped. I mean, it was tense.
Oh, yeah.
Even when you'd think that arc is gone. No, it isn't. But then it's a matter of, can the teams actually capitalize and identify those moments? And we do the best we can as casters with our perspective, looking in from the outside, but it's hard to know. from the sort of inside of the match what they're thinking as they're making these choices and decisions, but we'll try to illuminate all of that, at least our thought process as we go through that. Let's jump in game now and just review some of the scores, I think, from previous matches and things that took place leading up to this point with these teams. Okay, so here we are in game, looking at the Osiris League Grand Finals screen, and I want to point out these last two rounds that took place. The first, as Drago was describing, was OneV, pulling out a big win. And I say big win, but it's not that big of a win. It's a less than 10,000 point differential between these two teams. However, when you actually are watching the map, like 10,000 points is a pretty hefty margin of victory compared to some of the nail biters that we've seen, especially. And then the subsequent week, 60GT came back and won by almost as much. I mean, the score practically flipped. So it's hard to say kind of what's going to take place this week. I think the first matchup, my sort of hypothesis as to why, in part, OneV had done so well, is that I was arguing the realm is more competitive. But because 60GT came back and won with such a solid win, I mean, it's hard to now point to that and say that that is, you know, all that extra practice was the definitive factor, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got a point to make there. I mean, there's definitely something to be said for the fact that OneV has been a team longer than 60GT has been a team. So that does lead to more practices, more, you know, fleshing out the people that are going to be in their vanguard for that 30 player team. But I think, you know, I think we should also talk about the actual games themselves too, besides like inside the points, right? So for me, 1v that first week, it just seemed like a flawless victory. Like if we were playing other games that have that terminology, at the end of that match, it would have said just flawless victory. They just captured all the stuff. They just went through all of the structures and said, you know what, I'll take this for a little bit. I'll take this for a little bit. I'll go ahead and take all of these arcs for myself. I'll even win a little bit of provisioning points too. And at the end, I'm going to come out the victor. And that's really what 1v did that first week. 60GT, on the other hand, the following week, obviously winning, but to me, it wasn't as a resounding victory. There were mistakes by 60GT that could have cost them dearly, most of which had to do with where they were taking the arc over and over and over again. That Desert Altar / Obelisk area on the bottom lane for 60GT, it was like a quagmire there. That could have easily turned into a 1,000 point game or less, or it could have even went and 1v could have won that match outright if they had been able to take the arc from the middle multiple times like 60GT gave them the opportunity to do. So I'm looking to see if the 60GT has cleaned that up, if they're able to go ahead and capture that stuff in the middle and then ultimately protect that arc carrier to go ahead and bring that arc back and score some points.
Yeah, some of those, you know, I'll emphasize this because it's important that, like, you know, we aren't grand finals players, so our thinking is going to be different than the teams that are in here. But sometimes those arc movements, it was kind of like, what was it? What movie was it? Austin Powers, where they say, "I also like to live dangerously." Right? It's just like, what? Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this? You know, like,
that's right.
Take the arc somewhere safe. Put a few people with that arc carrier to protect it. I think it's easy to, when you're returning the arc, feel like we got it, baby. Yeah. But until you've actually captured the thing, you don't got it. You don't have it. It's not done. It's not guaranteed. And especially at this caliber of play, with the quality and quantity of commanders at everyone's disposal, things can happen that you might not have expected, right? So
that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
We're here for round 4, baby, which begins now. So let's just refresh the screen and jump into the game here. Okay. The Osiris League Grand Finals. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. As a reminder, in blue, we've got 1V, 60GT in red. 60GT is the returning champion, here to reclaim their title. 1V contesting that. Again, they won their first match in this best 2 out of 3. 60GT came back and won that match, and now we're all wondering, what will the score be in the final match of the Ark of Osiris League Season 5 Grand Finals? Drago, what do you think the spread is going to be here? So
I said don't do it.
you don't have to even pick a winner. How many points are there going to be between the team that claims the title and the team that does not?
That's still really rough on me. How dare you? So let's go 6,000. I'm going to go 6,000 points.
6K.
It's less than what was last
Okay.
week.
That's
And
pretty
it's
big spread,
4,000
man. That's
less
like 2 arcs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. 6,000 is where I'm putting my money at.
Oof.
My non-existent money.
Yeah, you know, I cleaned out the shop with my Oryx, so I didn't put any money on this one. So
Yep, it's good stuff. Yeah, it's funny every single time. And if the trend continues, 1V will win this match. 60GT is favored by about 1.5 to 1 at least.
Okay. Got
So
a
if that
little
trend-
technical difficulty here, moving the map around. So what I'm going to do is show you my beautiful face and restart the game. Let's just address that really quickly.
Sure. And in the meantime,
Hey, it's me. Oh, man. All right. You know, it wouldn't be Ark of Osiris League cast without some technical difficulty that we need to solve. But hey, there we go. I'm back in game. It's all working. We're good. Okay. And I even did all that before the match started. Let's go. Just in time. 10 seconds till the match begins, everybody.
Here we go.
Here we go. Drago, rallies on the outposts, yes or no? What do you think?
No. They didn't do it last week. They're not going to do it this week.
Ooh, okay. Let's see what happens. Marches are on their way. Fast T1s, double C primary. The thing you would expect to see. Honda Tadakatsu, the secondary there. You can tell from that signature shadow polearm. 20% march speed on Honda. Plus, he's really popular for this game mode for the extra troop capacity. Looking at the rally screen, what do we got?
Okay,
Outpost rallies, baby.
Yeah, on one side, but not the other. In fact,
That's
not
true.
even all 4 obelisks rallied.
1V's bringing it back. They're like, hey, that was good. I'm doing that again.
Yeah,
but
we did that the
wow.
first time. I liked it.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, not even all 4.
Whoa. Yeah, but what?
There it is. There's the 4th one.
Oh, whoops. So, okay, well, that's got to be it. I mean, it could be intentional, but
it could be strategic.
Let's just call it a strategic maneuver with complexities that neither you nor I will understand until we see it unfold.
I err on that side versus they made a mistake. That's I mean, these two teams are
they're really good.
Heads and shoulders above.
People think I'm being
everybody
sarcastic. I'm not being sarcastic.
No, not at all. No, not at all.
Oh my gosh. Like, you know, it's like Lord of the Rings. Like a wizard arrives precisely when they intend. There's hard push, 1V activating it, and 60GT matching it. I am very surprised to see that. I personally would have preferred if neither team used it and they saved all those points for the mid-brawl, but instead they're opting for faster captures of these structures. That includes faster rally speed toward the structures and also 1 minute reduced time on the capture. So that's a pretty big deal for scoring these structures very, very quickly, which both teams want to do.
Looks like 60GT is going to capture their obelisk just a few seconds before. There it is right there. 1V does. Looks like maybe another 3 or 4 seconds for 1V to get there. So a little bit of a discrepancy, but overall, everything's about the same. Hard push was activated at exactly the right time, so all 4 obelisks have 2-minute countdown timers instead of 3 minutes. Now, the countdown timer that I'm going to be going after is not really one that you see on the screen, but the one you see where all of these marches that are marching towards these desert altars get to start clashing with each other. I'm really looking forward to seeing who's going to take out that first occupation and see if either of these teams can get a decided advantage early on in this match.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the altar on the screen here because of how significant this structure really is. This is why they pop hard push. It's not really for the rally march speed, although it's nice. Getting to the obelisks faster means you get teleports sooner, which is nice. But the real reason is that they want these desert altars, and they know that it's going to be such an intense fight that the 2 minutes on offense could be enough time to score the opposing side desert altar. And you can see, I mean, 1V's got their rally with Guan Yu primary, cruising past that desert altar right now. They're going to presumably break that rally. Drago.
I don't know.
They're breaking that rally?
I think they're going to keep it.
Where are they going?
It's a Guan rally, is it? Isn't it?
Yeah, it is a Guan rally. Where are they going? Is this their classic JK we're going to Shrine of Life move?
I mean,
they do this every
really
week.
Well with that move last week.
Actually, every week. There they go. Yeah. I mean, deciding they're going to deal with this Nevsky first, then make their way over there. Pretty smart play, given there's 3 of them to 1 Nevsky William. You don't want to be the Nevsky William in that situation. Here comes Ethelflood to try to help that. I don't know how much Ethel will do there, and the fighting is breaking by the altars themselves, turning off simplified graphics, so you see this fight in all its glory. Okay, not a lot of buffer zone here between 60GT and 1V, so they're going to be fighting right on top of that thing, which is exactly what 1V wants, whereas 1V has secured a little bit of cushion here around their own desert altar, although 60GT is starting to close that gap. Looking to the commanders on the field, you can see the Jads are getting focused down, although that was a Jad Bertrand. I don't know.
Interesting.
Open field Jad? New meta?
For reinforcement, it's a fantastic meta. But I don't know for either Garrison or for open field if that's the play.
Actually, it's genius, Drago. Yeah. You know what they're doing? I figured it out.
Okay.
I cracked the code. You know what it is?
Getting there faster?
No, if I bring 1 Jad march down the field, then you can kill my Jad.
It's
But if I bring
distraction Jad.
6 Jad marches, one of them has the garrison captain. You can't hit them all at the same time. It's honestly genius. I really like that play. That actually makes me really happy. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, this doesn't make sense. And do you remember when I said at the start of the stream multiple times? I was like, it's hard to know exactly what they're thinking. But I think I figured out what they were thinking for that one.
It's very possible. I mean, it could also turn into a shoot yourself in the foot moment, considering you're using a Jadwiga primary to fight instead of, say, an XY or.
How bad could it be?
Pretty much a lot better. But
how bad could it be? It's not like we're using Herman. No offense to Herman. He's just epic though.
Yeah, he's an epic. But that being said, 60GT taking 3 altars right now. If they can keep this altar, although an Ethelflood primary with a Trajan secondary is not a great garrison for that to happen, they do currently have 3 altars and they are blinking red. So
all these Jadwigas and none of them got in the garrison.
Yeah, all those 6 Jadwigas and none of them got in.
Oh no, Jad's in there. Jad's in there.
There we go.
They got it. So this is exactly what we were talking about, by the way, with the 60 seconds off the top from 3 minutes to 2 minutes on the capture time being very transformative. They're keeping that garrison in the yellow here as 1V tries to swarm and is almost out of troops here. I think that 60GT off the back of hard push might actually have the ability to claim the first occupation for this desert altar, which, as I was showing earlier, is a cool 750 points. Here comes 60GT Xeno. Xeno's a nice addition to this garrison. Get some healing going.
It is. And they're swarming, so that the potential for that garrison to pop is there. So having that backup Xeno there to pop over to Xeno if and when this Jadwiga does go away, 20 seconds, this is a huge deal. Everybody needs to be pouring whatever troops they've got. Doesn't matter if it's Cav, doesn't matter if it's Siege. I don't know why Siege would be there, but if they're there, they need to go inside. It does not matter. Keep it for 10 more seconds and you get yourself.
What a critical moment.
750 points.
5 seconds.
Oh,
wow,
no!
The garrison flips. Unreal.
Oh, goodness.
Every single thing that every single player did led to that outcome, and it was by just a hair that they're able to take back that garrison for 1V. Every little thing matters at this level of gameplay. It really does.
Wow. From a points per minute standpoint, everything should be equaling out. One shrine is red that's supposed to be blue, and vice versa. One is blue that's supposed to be red. Although they are different types of shrines, so the buffs are a little bit different. I will say that having that extra Shrine of War from a buff standpoint is very beneficial, but they just don't have enough juice to take this now. I think there's maybe what 6 or 7 I take that back. What did I just say? They just took that altar back again, and maybe again having those extra buffs were very beneficial from that second Shrine of War. This could be a long-standing fight with 4 minutes left to go in the middle. Chisco, I'm curious. I already see marches coming from both sides in the middle too. Does this Desert Altar get forgotten?
I don't think it does. I think the 1V is going to push this thing, try to take it back. With 4 minutes still till arc, I don't think they're quite ready to just leave it. Also, have first capture points even settled properly for that yet? I don't think they have.
Oh, not even close. No.
Yeah, so there's no way that I think they're going to just walk away from this Desert Altar. They're just going to keep hitting it. And, you know, the swarm, counter swarm, swarm, counter swarm. I mean, this is a thing that happens here, although some of these folks on a separate mission, okay, turning around, realizing, wait a minute. Oh, no, everybody got out of the altar. GG. Happens to the best of us, really, it does. I'm not even, that sounds sarcastic, but like, you wouldn't believe the number of times where people are like, oh, cool, we took the garrison, and then everybody gets out.
Just rolls. Yeah.
It happens more than you would think. Right? Everybody thinks that everybody else is going to stay in the garrison, but then nobody stays in the garrison. Whoops.
Yep. Happens to the best of them. And, you know, maybe again, next level strategy, right? Maybe they're letting them take it back to reset the timer so they can retake it back from them and reset the timer. And that way it's still open for contention after the middle fight.
Yeah, could be. Could be. I'll even add that, you know, I think it was just one player anyways, not a stack of players that were there. So they might have just thought I can get a little more value field fighting right now rather than just putting my open field march, which is really not designed to sit in this garrison, and just having it sit there. Yeah,
they're trying to get their marches back. They want to go to the middle. They're like, the middle is where we're at. We had our
on the topic of the middle though, bro. I mean, do you see what I see? Because that's a lot of 1V.
Yeah. That's a lot of 1V. They went mid a lot earlier, and again, a lot of the 6 GT that would normally be here, we're still contending for that Desert Altar on the top lane. So I mean, right now also you have the Shrine of War still being contended for on the bottom lane, minute and a half to go. I don't believe it's been taken from a first occupation score standpoint either. So there's just a lot of moving pieces for 60 GT, where 1V is right there with their cities. They can kind of react a little bit quicker. They don't have to necessarily be proactively thinking to reinforce or proactively rethinking to make a plan. You know, maybe these are going to work to 1V's benefit and not 60 GT's benefit. Even having the structure, you know, maybe they're going to go ahead and grab this and also have the mid team be more prepared for the middle fight. I mean, if it goes right now the way it is, 1V has it. I mean, it's not even close.
Yeah, I think, you know, when we look at how this opening has unfolded, I think it's fair to say this has really favored 60 GT.
From a disruption standpoint, is that what you're talking about?
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, they held, you know, this altar, which is, you know, now being rallied. By the way, you know, it's the details that matter here. When there's very little that you can differentiate because everyone has the same stuff, you do get your civilization bonus. So I'm just highlighting the Arabia special unit here. Extra cav stats, you know? And everybody in that rally had the cav special unit, for what it's worth. It's almost like they planned it, because assuredly they did.
Yeah, probably was that.
Although, you know, a couple Teutonic Knights floating around over here is a little,
they had
little head tilty, you know?
Killed, okay.
Why you bring in Teutonic Knights? Who runs Germany on the Osiris League Grand Finals?
Defense stats aren't too bad.
I think the reality is, yeah, the cav stats and the cav special unit are actually not that bad.
Yeah.
Especially because I think most teams are running 2+. And there we go.
Skills being used.
Mystical Formation, War Drums. Classic opener. We've seen it all season. Double C leading the charge, maybe a little less conventional. But Double C is really there to grab the arc. And a part of what that Double C March is undoubtedly trying to do.
Get to half health.
Try to get to half health, 50%. Charge talents, then activate. And you go 30% faster. That's what you want to do as the arc carrier. Now, that said, really like the 1V positioning here. If 1V actually has quick hands on this arc, which you can see multiple players from 1V about to grab the arc, They're going to start that thing in a really positive direction for them. And they got it. But it fell. Still good for them. Not as good as it could have been with a little bit of a breakaway. So, well played by 60GT, hunting those 1v players that were grabbing the arc there. You can see, by the way, I mean, I can flip over to it instead of showing the whole brawl, but you can see there's a Honda Tadakatsu paired with XY really working down those carriers. So it's not an accident that carrier had fallen. It's not just incidental AoE that took them out either.
Well, it's happened twice already. And now we're working on 60GT having. Let's see how quickly
60GT's got the arc. Okay. Arc is down. Yeah, it's just too much going on to really get a clean breakaway for either team right now. I mean, even if nobody targets the carrier, like the AoE in this mess is going to do a lot of damage here.
Kind of take care of business. A lot of 1v marches going home finally. I think, earlier I would have just said that 1v had the decided advantage in the open field right now from a number standpoint, but a big chunk, 10, 12 marches just went back for 1v, and now the same thing happening for 60GT. So
I think 1v's got this, man. I don't know. I see a lot of blue on my side of things.
I do too. And now I'm seeing a lot more blue. So another 20 marches for 60GT going home. So I was going a little bit quicker than maybe I should there. There's a lot more going for 60GT now. Yeah, 1v definitely has this.
Yeah.
Now, do they have it? That's the question.
Do they have it, Or will they live dangerously? It's hard to say. I think they hold this first arc, though. What do you think?
They've done that. And I think both teams have relatively done that, even though 60GT kind of captured it a lot quicker than did 1v. But I think that 1v will hold it maybe for 5 to 8 minutes. Just kind of reset everybody, get their structures the way they want them, which is kind of the way they want them right now. Or maybe start to go ahead and rally. I'm looking at the rally screen here. 2 rallies for each team going out right now. So everything's kind of equal. I think maybe they will capture it a little bit sooner. There's not really much to reset.
This is a really dangerous moment for 1v. I get that they have the arc, probably. Okay. And they're going to run that thing back.
Yeah.
But what happens now, and we've seen this every single match, is the counter push. And what I'm describing is the phenomena in which there are, let's call them 50 low health blue marches that were in the middle. Whereas every march from 60GT got a speedy trip home. You see how fast these troops move when they're sad-faced. And are now coming back with full health troops. So this counter push we've seen literally every single match where the opposing side that loses the arc surges the map. So I'm really eager to see what happens in this counter push from 60GT and how much they can get done. This is a really important moment for them in their ability to, I think, disrupt enough of the flow of points here to offset this arc.
Just go look at the rally screen and tell me how many city rallies do you see?
These are transport rallies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, 4. 4 city rallies. Pretty much, I mean, like every type of structure is getting rallied now.
Yes. So they're making that push, like you said. And they're doing it efficiently, using transport rallies, getting those troops down the field. Those are city rallies, so those have a larger capacity on the rally size itself. That's going to get quite a few marches down the field. And in addition to obviously, the open field that's already there.
Drago.
Yes.
That arc carrier, I'm calling it now, they're in trouble. They're in big trouble. Does everyone else see what I see? That carrier is in grave danger. Give it 60 seconds and you'll see what I mean.
I will.
That carrier is in grave danger. This is the counter push, and this is a really dangerous moment for 1v. They see it. Carrier redirected where they're going, but I don't know if it's fast enough to matter.
The exact opposite side of
but they do see that there was a problem here. And I think they're going in a good direction, given what's about to happen, which is that, I mean, and I am a little surprised that more 60GT players are not shifting up to contest the arc. So it looks like because the carrier shifted direction, it's the little things that matter, man. It's further enough away from that structure now that it's not just a matter of grabbing the structure, which, 60GT was about to do, and then scoring it at that structure. But I am just like a little bit surprised that there wasn't like a little bit more commitment to this direction, given how available the Arc was to disrupt there. You see what I mean?
I do, and they've got a lot of those transport rallies. I'm still trying to see where they're at. They're all marching right now, so there's still there's probably about 10 million troops worth of marches coming in
to this side
shortly.
Are they coming to this side?
It's got to be.
No, it's the other
the
side.
Other side.
It's the other side.
The other
they
side.
run this play on this side of the map every single time. I don't think I've seen it on the bottom side. I could be wrong.
So that's not a transport rally to get that Arc. That's a transport rally to start taking all their structures.
Yeah, to take the altar specifically, I would think.
Yeah.
Although I'd love
Arc's
to
still
see
being
some
delayed.
altar gameplay, I think that would be pretty cool. Or sorry, some obelisk gameplay. I don't think they're going to hit the obelisk.
I don't think so either. That's a doomed proposition at this level of gameplay.
Doomed proposition indeed. Yeah, I mean, we can view these rallies. They're cruising on by.
I mean, OneV doing a great job from a defensive standpoint. Something to point out as well for those of you that are the planners of your respective Osiris League or Ark of Osiris teams. Jadwiga Theo is the go-to when all of these players have access to every commander and every. Jadwiga Theo is the current meta for 1V right now. So something to keep into account as you're starting to construct your own teams, trying to make it to your own version, your own flavor of next season's grand finals in the Osiris League playoff system. That's what's being used right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with how devastating Nevsky is and his debuffs, alongside of Attila and his debuffs, and also XY and his debuffs. I think a lot of that's just trying to strip away as much debuffing as possible. And they're holding their own.
I wonder if a part of that has to do with just wanting to be a little bit better in the open field, too. Like, YSS is really not that great in the open field, especially because I think you see these Cav marchers. There's no way they're running mixed troops anyways. And they might get the mixed troop bonus when more people join into the garrison. But for open field, you would actually be surprised at how good Theodora's AoE is.
Harold Theodora is the thing, from what I understand.
Yeah. It did surprisingly well. I mean, I used Esong with Theodora for a time in my Canyon lineup, and you would honestly be kind of shocked at how much damage you're getting from AoE there. It's pretty devastating, in fact. Now, I'm not saying people should go max Theodora. I'm just pointing out that, when we try to uncover what the logic is from these teams, maybe a piece of the puzzle here is, your marches need to be viable in the field and in the garrison, given that they've got like so many of that march running around, as a precaution.
So right now, Arc was captured, by the way. Arc is captured. So the point total is now, again, in favor of 1V, 13,500 to 9,500, 9,600, 460 GT. So there is a discrepancy right now, and 1V has the favor, not only from an Arc of Osiris standpoint, capturing that first 3,000 points, but from a points per minute total up to this point, it looks like 1V did have a little bit of an advantage, being that they're over 3,000 points in favor. So right now, 60 GT is trying to flip the board here. They do have the Desert Altar on the top lane, and it looks like it will capture it in 45 seconds, but have lost their Shrine of War on the bottom lane, at least for a moment. Looks like they're going to go ahead and swarm that thing down and grab it back.
Yeah, this is not the counter push that I feel 60 GT really needed. Right? I mean, now they own all 4 altars, so maybe I got to pump the brakes on how quickly I make that assessment.
Together,
I mean, they're doing what I thought they would do, just not as quickly as I thought they would do it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm behind you 100%. This was reminding me of match 1, is what I was going to start going into after you said that. And then, of course, now 60 GT owns all 4 altars at the moment. And at least one will capture. It looks like 5 seconds until you start generating some points. And it doesn't look like it's going down right this second anyway. Nope, I take it back. As soon as I said it. So
spoke too soon.
Yeah, we just need to stop talking for 5 seconds.
If only they had a more tanky commander like YSS in that garrison. I'm just joking. The joke there, by the way, is that YSS does a shield when he's getting attacked.
Yeah. And
obviously 12x swarming a garrison gives a lot of opportunities for that shield to trigger very quickly.
But
plus, it elevates the counterattack by 30%. So YSS's anti-swarm is just disgusting. It's really powerful.
And I would, I would also add to that, Theo also has that anti-swarm functionality, considering any and all debuffs that are done by that swarm get wiped every 5 seconds, basically every 5 or 6 seconds after that skill goes off. So
That's true. I mean, it's two different philosophies for how
yep.
to best make a tanky garrison, right? Like one is, well, I'm gonna, hurt your marches, and which will make it so you're gonna do less damage, and also clear your debuffs. And the other is, this is YSS. I'm gonna stack defense. I'm gonna stack counterattack, and throw up shields to keep my troop count high, right? I think in KVK, there's really like no questions, like zero, that YSS is the better secondary. But for this context, I mean, I get it. The 12x swarm is
both going to have some value for sure.
Yeah.
If we look at the points per minute total, Chisco, I'm it doesn't seem like 60 GT has necessarily thrown the punch that I think we all were expecting, that counter punch that you were talking about. But looking at the points per minute, 150 points per minute for 1V.
Yeah, the points per minute.
But they're stopping them from generating points.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it on the map, but on the scoreboard, at least on the points per minute,
it's starting to close the gap. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The points per minute are pretty devastating there. And, folks are making their way to the middle here. I see a lot of 1V and a lot less 60 GT. Honestly, like, Arc of Osiris League meta, just get to middle first? Question mark.
There's so many other moving parts in this. I can't, in good conscience, say that. I think obviously, passing the eye test, right? If you get to the middle sooner, traditionally you do tend to win the middle, especially if you have a numbers advantage because of that, getting to the middle. But there's so much happening on the back end here. There's rallies going against altars to try and get a little ninja cap. There's rallies plus some swarm to get some of these Shrine of Wars, so that you have a decided stats advantage in that mid fight. I mean, outposts are getting swung back and forth. There's transport rallies. I mean, there's just so many things happening on the back end. If you don't do any of those things on the back end, having the numbers advantage in the middle might not necessarily get you the points that you're looking for.
Yeah. Look at this.
But it's looking very stacked for 1V right now.
It really is. Folks making their way into middle here.
Now, I will say on the top lane, 6GT doing a little bit like what they did last week.
Yeah, this is
sending
interesting.
Sending a contingent on the outside to try and delay and try and give their people time to get to the middle, and also maybe take a few of those marches out with them, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, presumably these two players that are here have sort of the majority of their marches in this one spot. So they have kind of an easy time managing those marches, I would think. Whereas, if you're just sending to the middle, like your marches could be spread out and all over the map. And it's an opportunity here to possibly take advantage of the enemy not being able to protect themselves as well. But it feels like 1V is sort of sorted that out. They've cut the numbers for that pre-mid-brawl fight. But even then, those marches going to mid are not going to be full health, right? So these guys now sad face, but in 30 seconds they get home, and then presumably within 2 minutes they get to middle. Whereas the damage to the mid fight against 1V, like their damage, they can't repair that. They're not going to slow walk home and then go to middle. They're just going to go right to middle. So these marches took damage. And then they're not going to refresh. So I don't know how that's going to work out for this mid-brawl. I guess it depends on how fast the brawl happens,
Yeah, and I will say there is a little bit of a way to repair that, and that's by using Heaven's Grace. I'm curious to see which team's going to use that this time. I think that 60GT did a great job kind of reacting last week instead of being the first user of the Alliance skill like they were in week 1. Let's see if they continue to do that. I think both teams just used their standard war drums and defensive formation at the beginning of the last middle fight. So let's see. We're definitely going to see something here. I believe we're going to see either Heaven's Grace or To the Death, and which team uses what. I think that's probably going to be something that is going to dictate who wins this mid fight. If I had to take my guess, I feel like 1V would be wanting to use Heaven's Grace this mid fight because of what you just said. There's going to be some marches there that don't have full health, and I know that you want to start using Heaven's Grace with full health marches, but if you want to contend equal number of marches to equal number of marches, but third of your marches are half dead, you're gonna need to do something. I don't know if necessarily to the death is the way to play it. If it's rather than that, using Heaven's Grace.
So I'll point out also, the longer we kind of wait for this brawl to happen, the better the disruption was there for 60 GT, because those marches are all having an opportunity to get here fresh.
Yep.
So given how long it's taking for this brawl to happen, I mean, you can see that those same players that were, up top brawling are now getting to the mid fight. There's like no doubt in my mind that that's kind of what they wanted. And that's very, very, very advantageous. Yeah. Even though they got wiped out in a pretty, outnumbered way up top that we were watching before. This is still very, very good for 60 GT to get fresh marches and weaken the ones from 1V. No question.
15 seconds. Skills starting to get used. Just go.
War drums. Mystical. War drums. No, wait. Mystical. Sorry. Yep. And war drums. So it's even now for both teams. And the buffs last for like 5 minutes. I mean, longer than the fight's going to take. So I approve of the early casting there.
Who uses Heaven's Grace? That's my question.
Let's see. The second Ark of Osiris League Grand Finals Brawl.
I was going to say now would be the time to use it.
1V, Heaven's Grace.
And
60 GT, Heaven's Grace.
I think this is going to be 60 GT's fight to lose in the middle. I think the timings were perfect on the skills. And I think, again, that move, disrupting the back end, allowing more troops to come in, and forcing 1V to bring not full marches to the middle, I think that's going to really, really help out 60 GT.
Yeah, I do agree that was a really good play by 60 GT. And now we wait.
Staring here, waiting. Yeah,
we count the frowny faces going back on both sides here.
Zoom your eyes out just a smidge and look at the map. By the way, it's mostly red.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I mean it's the Shrine of War that 60 GT took.
Both shrines, yeah, and all outposts,
and all the outposts. So definitely interesting. Looking at the mini map in the upper right to see that. I don't know. I mean, they could take all those buildings, but if 1V gets the Ark, it really doesn't matter, does it? 1V is looking pretty stacked in the middle right now.
They are. 1V is definitely taking
seeing a lot of blue.
Outright. And to me, those structures on the back end being taken means that 60 GT did not send everybody that they should have sent.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Yeah. It always really triggered me when, like, the team would be in the middle and you'd hear something on voice like, "Oh, I got their Shrine of War while y'all were in the middle." And it's like,
cool, awesome.
You were not in the middle. You should have been in the middle.
Yeah.
We needed you in the middle. Are you saying your 5 marches are bad and they wouldn't have mattered for the mid-fight? Because that's ridiculous. So I mean, I've always felt like that singularity of focus is really important for Ark, particularly contesting the Ark of Osiris in the middle. And 1V, I mean, they brought it all to the middle, man, and lost a lot of buildings in the process.
But minor buildings, no outposts, no obelisks, no altars. Points per minute wise, we're looking at a 780 point per minute in favor of 60 GT versus 340 for 1V. So it's almost a 500 points, about 450-ish points per minute favor for 60 GT right now. And I will say, I'm just looking at the reinforcement, the second wave, right, from 60 GT. A lot of them are still going to the middle. So I don't know if they necessarily have contended that this arc is over. They do have the Shrine of War, obviously, on the left side, at least for the moment. Xeno getting heavily swarmed down by 1V at this point in time on the bottom lane. But the arc is still moving. It's in 1V's hands.
Arc's going the wrong way.
Well, now it's moving right for some reason.
Oh, no. They dropped it in a caravan. Yeah, they dropped it in a caravan. Yeah. A little bit of a carrier swap here. I approve of that. Although I am a little worried, just a little worried, because I do see 60 GT still sending to mid. Like, that arc's got to get out of there. That arc really needs to get out of there.
Coming up the left side. Now, they did lose the Shrine of War on the bottom lane. So they no longer have their 2 shrine advantage that they did before. But again, points per minute total still favoring 60GT because 1V doesn't have those buildings ticking in their favor yet. So Arc is moving. The point total right now is basically even. It's a 500-point game right now. This Arc is a 3,500-point Arc. So 4,000 points is currently what 1V is working with, assuming they're going to capture this for themselves. But 1V is going to have to contend with a large contingent of 60GT coming up the bottom lane and from the middle lane, trying to do a little bit of disruption, trying to see if they can maybe make a sneaky play. We've got 24 minutes left in this match. Just there's a lot of time for a lot of moves left to be made.
Yeah, when I look at the scoreboard, it's a 400-point game plus an Arc. So
right.
I'm mentioning that because 60GT really even things up.
Yeah.
But they are once again behind by an Arc.
Yes.
And they're going to have to sort that out. Arc Carrier just kind of casually walking right past the Shrine of War here. Feels like that's okay, maybe?
It's not the worst idea.
It's not the worst.
You've got a big open field fight. I mean, why have all those 1V marches down there stopping all these 60GT marches from coming up if you're not just going to go ahead and grab it? But maybe, again, they want to hold it. Maybe they want, right now is the epitome of needing to reset yourself, right? You've got your marches everywhere. They're all open field fighting. They're all going to be half dead. Your buildings look pretty good right now for the most part in the mini map, but from a spatial integrity standpoint, having your structures be not having people that are supposed to attack it around it, it's not so great. So maybe they're going to hold this for maybe 5 minutes or so. There's 15 minutes on the timer, 22 minutes. I don't know. I think they may need to have one more Arc to win this thing, considering how 60GT has basically nullified that gap from the Arc from the first Arc that was captured. This is going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
I don't think this match is done by any stretch of the imagination.
Oh, no.
I think that assuming 1V scores this Arc, which is a safe default assumption, but, things could go sideways. But assuming that they do, the match is still close enough. And given that 60GT already proved they can close the gap on points per minute, I would be feeling pretty uncomfortable if, I was in 1V about how secure our win was,
Oh, there's nobody thinking they've won so far. There's no way. It's a 200-point game. They do have the Arc right now, but it's a 3,500-point Arc. It's not exactly like it's something that's out of 60GT's reach. They just closed the 3,000-point gap.
Yeah, Arc Carrier is kind of going the wrong way too. I don't know if they know that. They're
going towards the altar on the bottom lane now, which is interesting.
That they know. They probably haven't realized.
I'm sure they do.
I don't think so. There's really no good reason to run that thing to the altar.
There's another full health double C waiting here, and they definitely know they're going to do another handoff at that cavern just to give the holder of the Arc, a full
fresh march.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it wasn't about going to the altar; they're going to the caravan. Okay.
Yeah. So, with that being said, I think that 1V has to be asking themselves, they've taken the first 2 Arcs pretty handily, but as you noticed again, and we point out, they weren't all there. They had players going and taking structures. They had players, taking outposts, probably killing some provisioners while they were over there too. They were not in the middle. They did not have their full contingent in the middle. Do you give your opponent the opportunity to gain 4,000 points on you, knowing that they can also close the gap on a 3,000-point Arc like they just did? Because they could hold it long enough to basically shut down the Arc. They have the capability to do that.
Yeah, I don't know what the answer is here.
That's a tough decision for 1V to make.
So if 1V stalls on this Arc, they could hold it, and we could have a 2-Arc game. They have within their power the ability to make this a 2-Arc game.
But look at the structures. 1V has lost their top lane almost entirely.
Yeah, that could just be a part of the sort of counter push that you see after an Arc is captured.
The Arc was going the other way.
Yeah, but the counter push you see because, you know, they get back faster and then they're back on the field
They're
with
starting
full
to
health
rally.
marches. And
Okay, I'll get behind that. Okay, so
it's still
building
close
back.
enough to when the arc was, yeah, and see, they took it back. It's close enough to when the arc was, you know, contested in the middle. Then, yeah, I don't know. It was a part of the counter push. Now you see the opposite, though. Look at this. Sky Altar in the hands of 1V.
Mm-hmm. So there is some back and forth to be done here. I think really that this match is going to be decided on who decides to do which way. Like, does 1V decide to capture this, or do they decide to throw up a final arc available for this matchup? And basically, assuming that 60GT will be able to at least make up a few thousand points on this discrepancy, which they currently have 300 point per minute advantage, and seem like they can certainly do that. Do they offer up the opportunity for 60GT to win, or do 1V decide to keep it and hope they can have just enough points between holding their structures and maybe doing a little bit more provisioning than 60GT? This is going to be a huge decision for them to make, and certainly 60GT, they need to figure out what 1V is going to do, because if they just sit back and wait for this arc to get captured, they're missing their opportunity to gain all those points back.
Yeah, I think if you're in 1V, a part of what you're trying to read and have already predetermined before entering the match is sort of, what does the board need to look like to score the arc in this situation? And I think there is kind of a window of opportunity where you have advantage, where you can score the arc. The enemy has to first get a bunch of things done, then feel like they can go toward middle, where you can really have a really good timing that favors you, right? So I think that if they're going to do this, they're looking for that timing. But honestly, I'm not sure they're going to go for it. I think they may just hold the thing.
Yeah.
Four altars? Why would you score it?
That's really putting the entire match on your structure game.
Oh, back down to 3. Yeah. Points per minute wise, 560 to 290.
In favor
I
of 1V.
mean, you
back and
like
forth.
those odds.
I mean, 1V has 3 altars still. They just took the desert altar on the bottom lane. So, I mean, it's if 1V can continue to do this, then absolutely hold it. Absolutely hold it. I mean, that's 4,000 points. That's going to be very hard to recapture using the structure and provisioning games in the grand finals method.
I just don't know that you can count on that, though. Like, yes, I agree with you. If
No,
they can
you
keep
can't.
this up, but can you keep this up? I don't know.
Well, can you keep this up? The question is, can you keep it up, or can you definitively say that you're going to get that next arc?
Right? Like, we monitor this points per minute. It's 410 to 290. I mean, it's pretty close.
Now it's 410 to 440 in favor of 60GT. But again, as long as the numbers are roughly even, or again, if it's back and forth, I mean, I think that plays into 1V's advantage.
It
Because,
does.
again, you're not going to get enough points. Yeah. 60GT needs to have a decided 300 to 400 point minute advantage for the next like 5 to 7 minutes to be in the same conversation of what this arc is going to give them.
Right. Yeah. That's right.
So,
they need a huge point advantage, and they need it for 10 minutes. And they only have 16 minutes to make that happen.
Yep.
Which I feel like when you put it that way, I feel like you just hold the arc.
Well, now they have a 300 point advantage, does 60GT. So this is going to be...
Well, there it is. That's the kind of points per minute you need. And it changed.
This decision is huge. This decision that they make is huge.
Yeah, it really is.
Do they cap it? Do they not cap it? 8 minutes until the timer runs out. 15 and a half minutes on the actual match. I think that they're going to hold it, banking on the fact that they can just curtail the point totals from 60GT just enough to take the victory. I think that's that's got to be their thought process. They're in control, whereas if they capture it, they're not in control. You know what I'm saying?
There's more uncertainty.
Yes.
To another arc brawl than there is holding it. Obviously, if you think you could score another arc, that would be the safest point cushion. But it's just riskier.
It is very risky.
I think they're not going to take the risk.
Again, from a planner standpoint, from a planner's point of view, you always want to have the control versus not having the control. That's planner 101. You want to be able to dictate the pace and the structure of whatever you're trying to do. If you capture that arc, it's up to chance. You have to wait 8 minutes, and then we're going to figure out who's going to win this match. If
You
you
only
hold
got
the
to
arc,
win by 1 point, too.
that's right. That's right.
So it's not like you need to get some commanding victory here.
No, there's no
Just
shame in a
win by
1-point
one,
victory.
and you're the grand champion. That's it.
Points per minute
And
basically knotted up, by the way. Even Steven.
You know what I find surprising here? It is that they must also themselves still be sorting out if they're going to hold the arc or not. Because what I don't see is skills being used.
Sure.
And I know 60 GT can't use any skills because it would be a mistake. Because if skills are fired off by 60 GT, then if you're in 1V, you say, oh, we scored this arc. They don't have ability points. We're going to beat them in middle for sure.
Yep.
So 60 GT can't use any points, and 1V could. And if they did, it would signal that they're not going to try for another arc. But they haven't yet, so we just don't know. There's no clues, really, as to what play or call they're going to make there. But the longer this goes, it's 8 minutes for the arc to respawn from the time that it's captured. And in an uncontested carry, it's as fast as something like 1:30, but we'll call it 2 minutes, depending on kind of what March picks it up, to bring the arc. So at the 10-minute and 30-second mark for the remainder of this game, we will have left the realm in which another arc is actually viable. So we are almost at that point. We're like 2 minutes away.
Roughly. Yep. It's going to come down to the seconds on this match, for sure, 100%. And I'm just looking at this screen, and these altars just keep alternating back and forth and back and forth. And again, that just keeps working to 1V's advantage. 60 GT is doing everything they can, and they have shown, that they can. Last week, they absolutely devastated 1V in the structure game and in the mid fights. 1V has come back and given 60 GT a run for their money. They're still desperately trying to get more and more points, and that number is dwindling. 60 GT now is down by 270 points per minute. The altars are starting to kick in for 1V. They've held them for long enough. The desert altar on the bottom lane is now 1V's. That's supposed to be 60 GT. 60 GT just had that same effect on their side, but they did lose the altar at the last second before starting to generate points. So 1V is doing exactly what they need to do. They're making the decision for themselves, I think. Again, holding this is the way to go. Basically 1 minute left until it's a done deal, right?
Yeah. The arc will be a done deal.
Yeah. The decision. I should say the decision is a done deal.
Yeah.
Then we got
at the 10-minute, 30-second mark.
Yeah.
We will have left the realm of an additional arc truly being viable. Now,
Correct.
They will hold the arc probably for a little bit longer because, you don't really want to push your luck with, again, it's like an 8-minute, 30-second arc respawn plus like a 2-minute carry time. They'll probably wait till closer to that 8-minute mark. Especially because they have to cap it, by the way, in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. If they don't do that, then it resets, which would be very bad. So they're definitely going to cap it within 3 minutes. And by that time, there's War Drums from 1V. That, to me, tells you everything you need to know. And there's Hard Push. 60 GT acknowledging. Oh, yep. They say, see? And there's 1V Hard Push. That was the signal. When they started spending points, when 1V started spending points, that was the sign that they're not going to go for another mid-fight. Because otherwise, you'd want every point for the mid-fight. Correct. And now they're just using it for incremental edge as they push this altar. So they're definitely holding that arc and going to cap that. And I really like the instant response from 60 GT to activate Hard Push. That's sort of the acknowledgement that, okay, this is what we're doing for the rest of the game.
Now 3 altars for 60 GT. I think it's going to be really up to them now once this is captured. And I think there was maybe another decision that could have been made on 60 GT's side, and I'm not saying that they should have, because maybe they would have lost even more points than they have, but maybe to make a push towards the the actual arc carrier, make them cap it sooner, something like that. I don't know. I mean, just trying to think of outside the box, hindsight thinking, right, on what you could do to maybe take the advantage back to yourself, or something like that. Because again, like you said, right now this is going to be a structure game coming down to the wire, and right now I just don't see 60GT putting up enough points per minute, at least right now, versus 1V having the arc held, and 1V having all the available players to defend, like they didn't have the first wave with getting those 3,000 points back.
Yeah, this is just really, I mean, look at the board. It favors, there's the arc score. Okay.
Yep.
Arc was scored.
Yeah, there's no potential for another arc. It's done.
Yeah.
So structure game and provisions. Look for Insatiable Desire to be popped at some point here in the next few minutes.
I don't know. Do you think they even have Insatiable Desire on the bar?
I bet they do.
Interesting.
I bet one of them does. We'll see.
Not even Sneaky Tactics can save you now.
Hide my provisioners. Let them do their.
I don't know. I mean, you can see their provisioning here. Like,
yeah, no, they're there.
They're not even hiding the fact that it's like, okay, we got a provision. Let's go, everybody. Oh, there they go. Okay, maybe they were just positioning on the map temporarily.
Yeah, there is 8 minutes, right? So there's 8 minutes left. It's basically a 4,000 point gap, right? Oh,
not even.
Sorry. Not even. They probably
2,400 point gap.
That was definitely a provision return, because 60GT did not have the points per minute advantage for long enough to get a 2,000 point swing there.
I mean, people in the chat that are like, "Oh, it's over. 1v1."
No, definitely not over.
Like
no.
The amount of point difference here is so low that one side cashing in a ton of provisions could sway this. Now, I think realistically, however, that provisioners have been sort of cashed in throughout the match. So I do think it is actually less likely that we see a big surge of points. And that is, again, because in this game mode, there's no equipment for the Ark of Osiris League Grand Finals, which means that your provisioners can be out and about doing their thing. You can send them home and have fully equipped fighting marches, and they all go out and about for the mid-fight. So I think provisions are more likely to have been staggered all throughout the match.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's nobody hoarding, I would say. But again, I think you're looking again, 3 altars in favor of 1V right now. This is the wrong time for one. If you're a 60GT fan, this is the wrong time for the blue team to be having multiple altars, especially one of them being yours. Right now, 100. I'm sorry, I was just about to say 100. Now it's 270, 300 point favor per minute for 1V right now. This is huge. The altars just started ticking in favor of 1V in these last 7 minutes of the match. This is exactly what 1V wanted to see with their decision to hold on to the arc. 60GT needs to make an immediate counter push and make every single one of these last 5 minutes count when they start to take these buildings away.
Dragothian, might we be crowning a new Osiris League Grand Champion in 6 minutes?
Ask me in 6 minutes. This match is so close, Jessica. And everybody who's watching this match, you deserve this. I mean, this is exactly why you play the game on your own, right? You play Ark of Osiris, you play Osiris League, is to be in fights like this. And if you can't be in it, getting to experience it, so amazing. And obviously, Chisco and I are lucky enough to be able to cast this for you guys and start to go over some of the strategies and really kind of highlight the different things that are happening on the map and trying to catch every little thing that we possibly can, which is impossible, right? Between 2 stellar teams like 60GT, previous winners of the grand finals, and 1V looking to usurp the throne.
It's true. And, although it's impossible to catch everything when we're casting in the moment, I'll point out that if you're looking for Rise of Kingdoms strategy guides, tips, and tricks, consider subscribing to this channel. And also, our channels are also in the description, linked below. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe if you want to see all of the evaluation after the game and the things that lead up to this moment. Oh, man. Yeah, it's still a 2,600 point game.
I mean, this is a battle that none of us could have ever, done ourselves, right? Like we're not to this level. we're not here. These two teams are far away and above the majority of the teams. In fact, that's why they're here. They're the best two teams in the entire game.
Drago, send in the closer, bro.
Wow.
Joan of Arc's on her way in with Siege.
That's it.
There it is.
Do it.
That garrison is secure for sure. Joan of Arc with the clutch garrison save. You think I'm even kidding? I'm not.
Now, here's the question.
That Joan of Arc arrived right on time.
If that Joan of Arc dies inside of that shrine, does it lose all of its provisions?
I don't know.
Because if it dies inside of a caravan, it loses all of its provisions.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's an interesting question.
Well, now they just can't lose. They just got to not lose. Joan of Arc's in it to win it. Oh, Joan of Arc popped out. All right. GG.
Right, so we don't have to wait to figure that out.
We don't know. Yeah. In fact, we can watch the march and watch the score really quickly. And you'll see their score is going to shoot up here in just a second.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they're going to this city over here. We'll see how much the score shoots up by. For those that didn't know, if your march dies in the node, you don't get points. Boom. Ooh, that was a lot of points, actually. That was over 100 points. So, definitely a good thing they didn't die in the garrison there. Might have cost them a little bit of points.
Yeah, so it's a little over 3,000 points in favor of OneV right now. And again, I mean, it's proving to be, with OneV having its full contingent of players to defend and attack, it's proving to be very difficult for OneV to make up 3,000 points, which is, for any team, nearly impossible.
Yeah, for teams of this caliber, it's just really hard to make up.
Yeah, that big of a
gap, amount of points.
Without an arc,
Yeah, but here's the thing: if there is even just 100% dedicated provisioner on the side of 60 GT, and they cap those points, which they wouldn't do yet. They would do that in the last 30 to 60 seconds.
Yeah.
The scoreboard could change pretty significantly in a matter of literally those seconds. So you saw earlier, just minutes ago, when we were looking on screen, you see the points just instantly tick up when your gathering march comes home. So that's what we're waiting to see, if that will happen, to transform this scoreboard. But now almost 3,500, over 3,500 points of lead.
Yep.
You got to be feeling pretty good right now if you're in 1V. I imagine the relief that they're going to feel if the score holds will be just incredible.
I mean, it's an even map. This is devastating for 60 GT if you're a 60 GT fan. The map is even. There's 1 minute and 45 seconds left, and the points per minute total is a little bit in your favor, 150 points per minute, which will go in your favor here shortly again. And you're down by what is now 3,500 points still, 3,600 points. If we couldn't make it up in the last 10 minutes, I'm not sure how we're going to do it in the next one, even provisioning aside. I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in the next 15 to 20 seconds.
1 minute remaining in the Osiris League Grand Finals, Season 5. Former champion 60 GT battling against the Realm of Horus winner, 1V. 1V won the first match. 60 GT won the second match. And now, in just 40 seconds, we will be crowning the victor for this season's Grand Finals. I don't know that this scoreboard's going to budge. I think we might be looking at a near final score here.
Yeah, I think so too. It's a 3,500 point, 3,400 point game, again, in favor of 1V. I think we're going to be looking at the next 15 seconds, kind of letting that play out, because both teams are having provisions return. I see a few coming in for 60 DT on the bottom lane and the top lane. A few coming in again for 1V on the top lane and one from the bottom lane. So we're going to see some pop in. I think it's going to relatively play out to about 3,000, 3,500 points, which is exactly what that last arc was. Which means, again, that 60 GT nullified that first arc. but not the second.
MVP from 1034, the Kingdom of Broccoli. Let's go.
Such a great kingdom name.
Oh, man. Vegetables superior. Congratulations to OneV, the new Ark of Osiris League Season 5 Grand Champion. Wow. What a game. It's been incredible casting all season with you, Dragothian. You look at this board, and what are your takeaways?
So provision score relatively even. Again, I think we made a great point pointing out that provisioning just needed to take a back seat in the grand finals version of this this game mode because of the way that equipment is affected and the lack of it. I think that's a great thing that we were able to identify there for the community. And then looking at the occupation score, I mean, 3,000 points in favor of 60 GT, that's a huge deal, but not enough to eliminate 6,500 points of Ark of Osiris score. That's how the first team did it in the first season. That's how we do it in season 5 too. My goodness, just Ark of Osiris really is named aptly. You need to win the Ark, guys, if you want to be a consistent winner inside of this game mode.
Yeah, I mean, my observation here is that if you put more people to the middle, all other things equal, you're more likely to win middle. And if you win those Ark fights in the middle, you are definitely favored to win. Drago, it's been a pleasure casting Ark of Osiris League here. Any closing thoughts as we wrap up this season?
Nope, just a great season overall for the actual Osiris League itself, and then certainly the grand finals did not disappoint. Two amazing teams, 60 GT, the previous winner, obviously coming in here and giving it their all. I mean, my goodness, OneV doing the same, giving the previous winners a run for their money, but ultimately winning the first and third matches. Oh my goodness, this was such a great match. And then certainly for the whole season, just lots of different moments and events that happened throughout it. It was a pleasure to cast it with you and with our other counterparts inside of the system, and certainly looking forward to seeing the next season as well. And certainly hope you all in the community enjoyed it as much as we did. Throw a shout out inside for both teams. What a great match to watch and cast for you guys, and looking forward to seeing you all again on the other side.
Congratulations, OneV. And truly, both teams here are the best in the game. So incredible. Both 60 GT and OneV. And again, OneV, congratulations on your crown. If you've enjoyed this series on the official Rise of Kingdoms channel, you need to subscribe. What are you waiting for? Hopefully, Dragothian and I will be back next season to cast Ark of Osiris League. I kind of can't wait for the new season to start, which maybe it'll be in a month or two, I hope. And throw a like on the stream if you've enjoyed it. And if you're looking for more content about Rise of Kingdoms, peruse through the content on this channel, or there's also links in the description for Dragothian and my YouTube channel. Check them out. And until next time, everybody, good luck in your Ark of Osiris matches, and we'll see you in Ark of Osiris League Season 6. Wow. Take care, everybody.